Hello and shalom, and God bless you all. I'm going to start a new series called Real Deal Christianity, and I think it's so necessary for the body of Christ. So many people are either being given false doctrine, are living in sin that they don't even know is sin because they've been given that false doctrine, or feel far away from the Lord, feel afraid of Him, and not in a healthy fear of the Lord that we need to all have, because He is a consuming fire, but the kind of fear where we're afraid to even be close or know that we can be close. So this is just an intro of Real Deal Christianity, because I still am, although I do ministry, I'm still working and teaching right now, and that can be all-consuming. Though I'm praying so that I can just do full-time ministry and go back to that, but do it in project-based ministry in Africa, which is what I'm still involved in, and am praying and trusting the Lord. And this is where the reality comes in, and this is a real deal. I'll just give you a little real deal for me, because I think it's helpful when we're not just talking to people to tell them how to know the Lord. We're telling our own personal experience of what has not just helped us, but those truths, those gems He gives us. So one of the things the other day He said, and I recently written a poem, or yesterday He inspired a poem, was I was just sitting communing with Him, sitting talking with Him. People wonder what that means, It's like, oh, what do you have to do? Some intense thing. You be you, sitting with Him like you're having a coffee or whatever you like to drink, of non-alcoholic, of course, please. But, and I'm not being a smart aleck, I just mean be with Him. Don't have anything influencing you. And just sitting there being real. For me, I need to see a bit of nature or see the sky or something. So I was looking out my window in my little funny, crazy urban place in the south side of a city in America, and which is supposed to be one of the worst sides of town, everybody tells me, but I pray for people, and I'm trusting Him. I'm supposed to be here for this time. In any case, while I was sitting there with Him, I just was communing, just was talking with Him, and He suddenly said to me, "Let me have your heart." And I burst into tears. Because when He tells you something, and it's not you just thinking it in your head, and that's where people get mixed up. They think, oh, maybe I'm thinking, and it's not really God. And yeah, of course, we have our own thoughts. The enemy throws thoughts in. We have thoughts that other people have, given to us. And then, of course, we have the thoughts of the Lord. And when it's His thoughts, it will affect you in a different way emotionally, whether you cry, whether you feel a peace, whether you feel an agitation because you know you're in the wrong path or you're doing something that you know you shouldn't. You'll feel a connection with Him. And it's not something, on one level it's deeply mysterious, but on another level it's just natural relationship with Him. So I just burst out into tears. And I wasn't even sure, I couldn't explain in words the tears. But I knew He was saying to me, you're not letting me have your heart. And that's what hurt. And then it wasn't even just the hurt of that I wasn't letting Him have my heart. It was also knowing how much pressure I've been under with a lot of things in work areas and transition and financial, everything. Just all the usual practical things that we can be overwhelmed by. And it's been overwhelming because I made a huge change in 10,000 miles from where I was, and I'm dealing with a lot of massive change and a salary less than half of what I was making in Australia, and no car, and a lot of other things that can make one, though I still have a ute or a pickup truck in Australia, but all of those things that can be overwhelming. You change continents, hemispheres, towns, jobs, everything all at the same time, and everything's new, and the way they do teaching here is completely different than Australia. And, choking, like, let's just be real here, and crying about it and asking the Lord to help me so that I can be his blessing and honor what he's asked me to do with those kids. And he's asked me to love them for him, not love them through him, but for him as a direct gift. That to me is incredible. So I know it's a mission of mercy, not because I'm so merciful, but because he is. And I think that's one of the keys to being real with him, real deal Christianity. And I'm going to do scriptures. I'm going to do studies. Right now I'm just giving you a spontaneous kind of stream of consciousness, as they used to say. George Bernard Shaw or someone, I can't remember. I used to study all the classics. But of just sharing with you my own experience over the last few days or a few weeks, where I've just wanted to get on a plane and fly back and gone, okay, that was an interesting experiment. Failed it? No. But the Lord doesn't want that. The Lord will ask us to do more than we can do, because then we need him. I mean, come on, Moses, Red Sea, parting. Yeah, really? Going back to Egypt to talk to the Pharaoh, knowing he could be killed just for the fact that he killed an Egyptian, let alone speaking to the most powerful person in the world, and telling them, by the by, let my people go. That's what God's saying, so go ahead and do it. I mean, incredible. And then he was worried about his speech and that he wasn't articulate, or everybody says maybe he stammered. It's not specific, but that he wasn't adept at it. And you know what's interesting? There God gives him Aaron, his brother, as a spokesman, and he never uses him. I love that. Lord lifts us up, gives us that assurance. You'll be okay, honey. Don't worry. And then you end up fulfilling what he called you for. And that's what this is really about. Real deal Christianity is about, number one, your deep relationship with Jesus Christ, the Holy Ghost, and the Father. Then, from there, he will teach us how to fulfill the works he prepared beforehand, before the world was ever formed. Amazing. And that's what this whole series will be about. I might even do it as a new channel. I'm just thinking of calling it Real Deal Christianity. This one I'll put on my other one, I think, or I may just start a new one. And I'm just, honored that I can serve in that way, that I can talk about him. I've had my ups and downs. So some of you think, oh, she has such a deep relationship with God. I mean, because you've said that, not because I think that you think that and I'm making it up in my head, but you actually think that. And you've told me. And do you know I've had my ups and downs with him? I've sometimes said, not talk to the hand, but I'm not talking to you. I've screamed at him. I've told him I hated him. I've been so broken I thought I could not do another day. And here I am, still in love with him, knowing he loves me. So don't think you're not going to have trials. It's a relationship, for crying out loud. If you're married, you're going to have these ups and downs. Sometimes you cannot stand the person and you don't want to be anywhere near them. Now, I'm talking not talking about being disrespectful to God for the sake of it. I'm talking about when you're so broken and you don't understand what he's doing, you can scream. You can say how you feel. You can tell him you don't trust him and you don't know what the heck he's doing. You can be open and honest with him. He's not going to run from you. The truth is, we run from him. We run from our own emotions and we pretend we don't feel what we feel because we want to be good little Christians. And then we're stuck in this fake Christianity that does nothing for anybody, including us, strangles us, keeps us from fulfilling what he called us to do, and keeps us so shallow and cut off. And the picture I get is like this, not even just a wall, but this, and not even just a barrier, like this buffer between us and him, where you can't get out. It's like that plastic perspex. You can see out, but you can't get out. You don't have to be like that. Be yourself. And he'll talk to you like that. I mean, I was sitting there just talking. I don't even remember what I was saying. Probably complaining about how hard things were, or asking for help, or whatever I was doing. I don't even recall. And then he said that, and he dropped it like a like the picture I get is like this teardrop shaped pearl, which I've never seen, but it dropped like a pearl in my heart. And I just burst out crying because it made me realize I hadn't been giving him my heart. I try so hard to please him, so hard to do what he calls me to do. And then I think it's all up to me, which is crazy. And he even said something. That's another good thing. If you want to get real with him and you tend to write, some people draw. So draw, make paintings, whatever, however you want. Dance, sing, whatever you want to communicate to him. I've made up dozens of gospel songs, not that I remember any of them, but in the moment, that's how I communicated with him. Poetry as well, and that's what he does through me, for the body as well as me. Sometimes he has to say, remember this is for you too? Hello? You read it. I'm speaking to you as well. You're part of the body. And I have to remember that because I'm so into serving. And again, not because I'm so wonderful. I don't know. It's just my MO. And faith without works is dead. And I don't want to be dead. And I don't want my faith dead. I know when I serve, I have greater joy than when I'm thinking about me. That is so boring. And he tells us not to. Seek first the kingdom and his righteousness. Then all that stuff gets taken care of. That stuff's boring. He can take care of it like that. And we, work up ourselves into a lather trying to make everything happen. He wants us to do what we're meant to do. Like yesterday, I went around praying for all these homeless guys. They're all men here in this city. And I had gotten some change, $40, but I wanted them in $10 bills, and one of them was in 5s and 1s because I had to take a bus or something. And I just knew I was supposed to be giving these $10 bills, and I don't usually do that. I usually go, I'll give them food because, we know they might misuse it. And it was just like the Lord was saying, no, give them this money. And I prayed for this poor man with a brain injury, and he had these really clear eyes, and I wasn't sure if there was mental illness as well or what. And he had an army uniform on and prayed with, his hands were swollen, he looked like he'd been beaten. It was just, oh my gosh. And he said he wasn't hungry, but I went in and got him some food anyway, and then came out and gave him the money because I felt like I was supposed to do both. And then somebody had already given him a pizza. He let me pray for him. Then went up the road, and then there was another man, and I wasn't sure about where he was at. He was at the freeway entrance, and prayed with him, and he knew all this stuff about Australia, which was hilarious. Well, BHP and how they took all the jobs from this one town. He was upset about Australia, so he's going to blame me. I said, it's okay. I'm from LA. I lived in Australia, but anyway, and gave him $10. And then the next man actually said to me he liked living like that. I mean, he meant it. He used to be a heroin addict, and now he had a tent under the underpass and would go to one part of the state and work when it was summer, where it gets cold in the winter, and so he's down in the south. And while it's too cold up there, and has a dog, his favorite dog, and he was telling me, I just need about $10 a day. And there I was with my $10, and I gave it to him. He let me pray. He did not believe. I asked him if he was at least willing to meet the living God, and then it inspired me to open up more and allow God to pour through as he used to. He used to pour through when I was out of the streets all the time. Just people would cry and be healed and all this stuff, and I thought, Lord, that's okay. I'm willing to do that again. I mean, I went into it, I was doing that too much, and people were looking at the benefits rather than salvation, and I really wanted them saved because, as I don't know if it's the old saying or my saying, you can have two good legs and still go to hell. I didn't want that for them. So all of this, my little spiel here, is just an intro of a series I want to do in between the intensity of the position I have right now. Once a week, maybe on Saturdays, because it's a good day for me where I just try to be with the Lord completely. where I'm going to do a real deal Christianity, and let him tell me. Sometimes it'll be scriptures. He's been having me read 1 Samuel again, and it's amazing things in 1 Samuel about when the Spirit of God comes upon a man, he turns into another person. And there was another one with Jonathan, who is, spying out with his armor bearer, the Philistines, and saying, look, if God has them come up and say, come up here, that means he's going to deliver them into our hands. And if they say, no, wait down there, then we won't go after them because we know God isn't going to deliver them. And he said, I just love this verse. I'm trying to remember it. For God, the Lord is not restrained to save by many or few. That's for you. We don't have to be a big army. I mean, we are a big army, technically, around the world, those who truly believe. But of ourselves, where we are, wherever we are, we don't have to have many, many people with us for God to save. We can be 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. He's mighty to save. He indwells us. That's enough. So I just want to really lift up those of you who are low. I've been so low lately. Heavy, heavy, heavy stuff I'm dealing with. And just get on your knees. Cry out. Tell him what you really feel. Tell him maybe you're angry, you're hurt, you're sad, you're sorry, you're tired, whatever it is. And let him have your heart. God bless you, my brethren. Shalom.